Hey guys, what is up? I'm here with another video. This time for something that's really been getting on my... that's been kind of almost like really hitting me a little bit lately. Now, of course, now we all know about the upcoming... now we all know about The Martian hitting theaters being based on a book by Andy Weir, and this is one thing that hit my mind when I was thinking about it. Now, I'm going to show you a clip from a video from this guy called Fanboy Flicks, Mark. And he says one statement that kind of gets my opinion based on book to novel adaptation, like not book to film adaptations. You'll understand what I'm talking about once I get to it.
So I should probably start by saying no, I haven't read the book. Of course not. And I don't have to. I think it's pretty stupid when people say, well, you have to read the book first. Actually, no, I don't. Reading a book should never be a prerequisite to seeing a movie. The movie should be able to stand on its own, and if it can't, well, then it shouldn't have been adapted from the book in the first place. Once again...
See, he just really, it's the statement he makes. I don't need to say it. I don't need to quote it. He speaks for itself, but I want to expand upon the idea. See, the thing is, hold on a minute. The thing is, I think it's a dumb idea. Look, the thing is, I mean, we're always getting these book-to-film adaptations a lot. A lot of them being YA adaptations, but that's besides the point. See, the thing is, I mean, a lot of people, I heard this also too, people say, oh, you have to read, okay, you need to read the book first. Okay, I'm not going to let you see the movie unless you read the book first. One, that's stupid. It is so fucking stupid. See, he really makes a lot of points that I'm going to go over as well, and yeah, it is dumb. You don't need to read the book. It should never be a prerequisite. I'm going to go into that in detail. See, this is just something that's ridiculous to me. In my opinion, why people complain about this? People have made their own choices of how if they're gonna watch an adaptation or if they're gonna read the book. I mean, if you're gonna force people to make decisions like this, it's just something that I just don't agree with. Not to mention the fact it's also very restrictive. It's like when you're creating a book adaptation, adapting it, you're restricting it to only the fans or people who've read the book. It's like that. I mean, seriously, how much box office revenue would you have if you took out people who didn't read the book before seeing the movie? Seriously, I mean, that's just one thing I'm taking into it. It's not really a side note I want to go into, but I'm thinking like this: you'd probably lose a lot more money if you didn't have any real people who were involved who didn't read it. Because some of these book adaptations, I've never read the books. Okay. But here's one thing I want to talk about. Number one, I just think it's dumb. It kind of feels restrictive for people. People should be allowed to see whatever they want because it's an adaptation. Actually, I'm going to start with that. It's an adaptation. It's not a faithful page-by-page recreation of the novel. See, the thing is, it's an adaptation, and there's always going to be liberties taken with the source material, sometimes minor, even major. Sometimes it won't even be even faithful to the source material. Look, you're going to have to expect this, because I've come to expect this from Hollywood, because sometimes you can't do it. Some things can't be done to screen. Some things have to be taken out for some reason. Sometimes maybe because of budget, or the director, or this is what the director and or writer wants in their vision. You can't always have the entire book made from page to screen. And there have been some faithful adaptations, don't get me wrong, and some very faithful ones, but sometimes liberties have to be taken in order to translate it successfully from page to screen. I mean, people that complain about it, whatever, that's your deal, but in my opinion, it's something that I've come to expect. It's something that's the norm, basically, with all these adaptations, because artistic liberties are just, they're good. I expect them a lot sometimes, because you know what? Whatever, as long as it's fine. Hold on a minute. Sorry, the battery's dying, I'm back. Let's just get to it. Like, the thing is, with all these artistic liberties, I mean, I'm fine with them as long as the product is good. If it's mediocre, then I'll complain about some aspects of it. I'm not going to complain about changes made to the book, no. Because sometimes I'll never really read the book before seeing it. And the thing is, when you really think about it, it's really more of what's in the movie that bothers me. I'm not going to compare it to the book because, one, these are two different mediums, so that's really more of a book versus movie type of thing. It's really something completely different on its own. The movie is something completely, because I mean, it's something different to talk about. It's more about like a debate between the book and the movie. It's just, you know, whatever. That's its own thing. its own kind of category or something like that. You know? I mean, it's nothing that should be taken into effect whenever you're reviewing a movie. That's my opinion. You should just review it on its own. And this is the number one thing about all these adaptations. They should stand on their own. See, the thing is, whether or not you read like a book whether or not you watch a movie that's very complicated, some people say, oh, it's a lot easier in the book. That doesn't always help, because here's the thing. Just because it's a lot easier clarified in the book doesn't mean that the movie should be able to do that as well. Sure, you can put some restrictions on the material, but you should at least be faithful, have some sort of faith or connection to the material, or just be able to stand on your own. See, they should really stand on their own, because these adaptations are not going to be 100% faithful to the source material, and really, these are things that are completely different. I mean, novels and films are two different mediums. I mean, books, people read those things, like they read them with their eyes. Film, people watch what they see on the screen. This is and it's told in a visual way. And yes, there's dialogue in there, but they do a visual look at it. They give it a visual interpretation based on somebody's vision. And the thing is, they just need to stay on their own. I just don't think it's necessary to read the book first. I feel like, really? And there's more than just books. We've always done adaptations of video games, mangas, animes, all that other stuff. And we've also done remakes and reboots. To be honest, a lot of these things have to stay on their own, because to really comparing it to the original or anything like that, or comparing it to the original material, you're not going to necessarily get an easy competition. It's not going to be easy for the film for itself, because a lot of people are going to complain about differences. How unfaithful it is, how faithful it is. They're just going to complain about it and not really respect the film on its own merits. See, this is what I mean. Leave it out of there. Just watch the film and just respect and just watch it as the film itself. Try and, take your mindset off the fact that you've read the book and you know what happens in it. Why don't you just see, the film for yourself and see how it works for you? Sure, you may have your different, and sure, you may complain about the differences, that's fine, but I just don't think you should really take that into major consideration or take that high into account. Maybe just analyze the film and see what works there and what doesn't work there. And see what works with the book and what doesn't work with the book. If you want to do a comparison, go ahead. See, they really need to stay on their own, because no film is ever going to... every film or adaptation is always going to receive massive criticism or always get some sort of backlash or something like that by people who have read the original source material. And it's always going to be like that. It's inevitable people are going to complain about it, because you know what? Some people are like that. Some people really do... they can be unfair. And it's something that you have to deal with. Yeah. See, the thing is, with also the fact that when if it has to be a prerequisite to read the book, it's restrictive to the demographic it's appealing to. It should at least appeal to the demographic it's trying to appeal to, and not have any restrictions on book readers or fans of the book or any of the material. It shouldn't be the case, because it should be open to everyone. It should at least be open for everyone to enter in it, and there doesn't need to be a need to read it, because who gives a fuck? If you don't want to read the book, fine. The film should be able to just tell the story, tell basically the same story, or just do some sort, or just you know what I mean. The film should be able to work on its own, like tell its own story, give us the characters, give us something good. Just give us something good on its own, not as an adaptation, on its own. Even if it's adapted from something like that, it needs to stand on its own. Because what's the point of doing that? If you're going to make it a complete faithful book adaptation, what's going to be the point of it? A problem with that also, if you're going to make something completely faithful, 100%, is that there's no surprises for readers. Sure, some people will be happy that, it's 100% faithful to the book, but some people, not everyone, but that's the problem though. There's nothing surprising happening. Sometimes, sometimes it won't be, sometimes the execution of the film won't be enough to help the fact that there's no sense of spontaneity, because you know what will happen. Sometimes liberties have to be taken in order to make it more surprising, or make it an effective film transition, or get something a little bit different for readers to make it a bit more surprising or something like that. You understand what I'm saying? It's just better to really just, sometimes these deviations, liberties, and knowing that it's called an adaptation, it's not a faithful recreation of the book or the material, means something. I mean, just it should really be taken into effect that, oh, this is how it, yeah. I mean, really, it doesn't need to be a prerequisite. It doesn't. It's dumb, it's restrictive, and it just proves that the material, it just really showcases proof that it just really, it just kind of almost like suffers the belief that these adaptations just can't stay on their own. And they should, they can. I mean, it's just a better idea to just leave it open to everyone, not just book readers, everyone. It expands it to a much more audience, who knows, making more people read your book. Sometimes it won't. People will do whatever they want, and I feel like that an adaptation doesn't, I don't feel like, adaptations or the source material needs to dictate what you should, I don't think, adaptations should really, like the announcement adaptation, like an anime to film, book to film, anything like that should really dictate what you should do with an upcoming adaptation. Like, should you read the material first, or should you just go see the movie? Or you have to read the book first, then see the movie. That shouldn't be the case. People should just do whatever they want with decisions. They each make their own decisions. Anyways, guys, that's my take on the idea that's been kind of bothering me a bit lately. Comment below, what is your side of it? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? There's some points that I didn't make that you want to make. Do you want to elaborate? Do you want to elaborate on some points that I made? Comment below. Subscribe to the channel for more videos.